Well played.
Yeah, now it's videoing.
Okay.
All right, so first thing you want to get, get some ink out of the jar. Make sure it's stirred up a little bit. Just a little bit of ink will go a long way, so you really don't need like a huge glob. And it's really drippy, so be careful. That may do it, just a little bit more. All right, that's pretty good. Okay, once you've got it on there, you're gonna use one of these bigger cards, and you're gonna make sure you're videoing down there. You're gonna get one of these bigger cards and basically spread it around like jelly on toast. Okay, a little bit goes a long way, so. Okay, so I've got a good amount left. I can actually kind of scoop this back in the jar if I can. All right, so once you've got it all spread on there, you're gonna scrape it off. And as I'm turning the card, actually probably could do a better job spreading this over here first. Okay, so I'm scraping it off, and you might go through a couple cards doing this. Okay. Okay, getting it pretty clean. From there, you'll set it on a phone book or this little catalog, just like that. Okay. Now what we got to do, let's see, you've got some ink on the back of the plate. We've got to get some of that off, and we just got a wadded up piece of newspaper. We're just gonna wipe that all off. Okay, once you've got all that off, you can start wiping your plate. Right now, we're just gonna get like kind of the excess ink off. So there's a lot of ink on there. We're just gonna get some of the excess off of there. I'm not pressing too hard because a little bit of plate tone is nice. So we don't want to necessarily like wipe it all the way off. I didn't press too terribly hard there. Then we'll flip it back over, and I'll go back to like a cleaner area on my table, or I can just flip to a clean area here. That'll work too. And now I'm going to use this. This is called tarlatan. It's starched cheesecloth. Even with ink in it, it's still going to work for our purposes. Basically, what this is going to do is help us pull out the details of our print. So we do a light wipe first, just real light. Go back down to there. We can start to see some of the details come out. Okay, so we can pretty much at this point we can kind of see the whole like mess that you guys made on the plate. But we also can see that there's some bleeding around some of these lines, and that's where this really comes into play. We want to use this to clean up the details in our etching. So we'll get in there and just kind of spend a little more time right on those areas that we want to bring out. And I'll leave a couple untouched so we can kind of see the difference. I'll leave this little ball here untouched. You want to be careful doing this part, not to overwipe, because again, like a little bit of plate tone is nice. If you overwipe it, you'll wind up having just kind of blank areas in your print, and maybe I'll overwipe an area like right here, for example. So I'm pressing really hard, and basically I'm pulling all the ink off of there. That little area will be overwiped. Yeah. All right. So that's pretty good. There's maybe a couple areas or two. Again, I left some areas intentionally underwiped, like down here. I overwiped that area just because I want to just show you guys the difference of what happens there. So from this point, we're going to take it over to the press. Okay, so you'll place it on that center registration mark, like so. You want to be careful if you got ink on the press right here. It's a good opportunity to take some newspaper because we want this outer area to be clean. We don't want to get ink on our print somewhere where we don't really want the ink. So I'm going to try to just justify that a little bit, but for the most part, it's pretty clean. I got a little ink out here. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. Okay. Now from this point, you want your hands to be clean. Okay, so once you set the plate down, make sure first of all you set your scratch side up so that we'll see how that works in a second.
It's great.
Okay, so
Cool, dude.
over here, this is an ink-free zone. Like you don't want to have any ink on your hands when you're in this area, right? Or at the press. Once you've got your plate on the press, you want to get your hands free of ink.
Free of ink,
I don't have any.
Okay, you can come over here. All right, so you got baby
Get out of
wipes
my
here.
way. Get out of my
Sorry,
way.
sorry, sorry.
To get your hands clean. This paper's been soaking for about 5-10 minutes.
And what?
Water.
Water.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Okay. So my hands, again, the reason why I want to get my hands clean is because that paper is really absorbent, and any ink on my hands is going to get everywhere. Yeah. Also, the ink will transfer to the towel, and if it gets on the towel, it'll get on my paper, which means it'll affect my print. So you draw your paper out, let it drip. You'll notice there's a watermark right here on the paper. We want to make sure that's on the back side of our print. So we'll make sure we print on this side because the actual mark itself is on that side. So once your paper's done dripping steadily, we can lay it on the towel. And this ink's been here for like years, so we don't have to worry about that, but we don't want to get any fresh ink on there. All right, you get it on there, blot it out. Just squishing the water out. Okay, you can hold it up. Make sure there's no shine on the paper. We're good. Again, the watermark's on the back here, so we want to make sure that our print isn't on the same side as that. Okay. For this one, we're going to use the outer registration marks. For your test prints, we'll use these inner registration marks because we're going to use a smaller sheet of paper. For this one, we're going to use the outer mark. Get that good and lined up. Okay, and then you're covered.
All right, we're good.
Cool. All right, and we'll lay our blankets down. Okay, watch out. Grady, you want to turn the wheel?
Yeah, which way?
Turn it towards you. And just go nice and smooth. Continue smooth. Just
Fucking here, doing it well. Goodness.
Weston,
No
get your head out of the shot.
Alright.
Looking good.
Keep going.
Wait, get it.
Oh,
Get it to
yeah.
about
Plain.
here.
Gotta make it even. Make that weave even.
I'm gonna stop.
Stop.
You're gonna have Instagram.
All right, stop there.
Thanks, guys.
Pull our blankets.
What?
Take our cover sheet off. And then, voila. All
I
right.
did.
So we can see that area where we really overwiped right here. We can see there's no plate tone. Other areas there's kind of a nice plate tone. That means it's just kind of a subtle little flavor of ink. Other areas where we didn't really wipe much, actually probably did a pretty good job. Maybe some areas here where we didn't wipe much. Down in here, maybe could have wiped a little more like in that spot or that spot. I really didn't wipe this, but that actually turned out better than I thought it would without wiping very much. One thing you'll notice, all of your writing came out backwards
Yeah.
because you wrote it. You didn't write it the right way. So